G'day everyone, Anthony Ross here for another Mental Toughness Made Simple video. This week I want to chat to you about the crucial difference between emotional fitness and emotional control, and why I much prefer the encouragement of emotional fitness with players. So let's start with emotional control. Emotional control is a very seductive idea because most players tend to play better when they feel better. So at first thought, it makes sense to try to control our emotions, try to control the difficult unintentional thoughts that show up when we're competing. But there's three problems when we encourage players to try to control emotions, control these unintentional thoughts. The first of these is that it's very hard to do. When players are competing, it's very natural to feel nervous at certain parts of the match. If I want to win really badly, then it's normal to feel frustrated when I'm not getting what I want. When I'm playing someone who's playing a lot better than me, then the feelings and thoughts to do with helplessness are a natural part of that experience. So the first thing here is that and the thing we have to consider is, will players be able to actually control these difficult thoughts and feelings that show up during matches? The second problem we have with encouraging emotional control is that it sort of perpetuates the idea that we need to get in a certain state to be able to take the actions that we want. And this leads to all sorts of trouble, because anytime we don't have that ideal feeling, anytime we have the difficult thoughts, players who are more reliant on getting these states, it then tends to lead to more panic about not having that state, and the inability basically to commit to something helpful anytime they're not feeling good. And this is disastrous. The third thing here, and this is a super important one that is not often talked about, is that the reality is that when players are tanking, for example, they are controlling their emotions. The whole purpose of someone giving up, in many cases, is a successful attempt to reduce the fear and pain that comes with losing. And when someone throws their racket, so when a player throws their racket, they are controlling their emotions. In that moment that they throw the racket, that reduces the feeling of frustration in that moment. When players make excuses, that reduces the difficult feeling. So emotional control, in many cases, is actually detrimental to performance. And there's heaps of examples of this. So, I mean, that's a really, really important one. So instead, what I would really encourage you to do if you're a coach or a parent, and also as a player, is think about the idea of emotional fitness. And this is where the aim really is not to reduce or avoid difficult emotions that show up during matches. And as I said before, this includes for me the difficult unintentional thoughts like negative thinking and outcome thinking, but rather to increase our fitness, our ability to handle these difficult feelings and thoughts, our ability to respond well to these difficult feelings and thoughts. So this is where players get better over time at still being able to commit to some helpful process while they're feeling difficult feelings, while they're not thinking ideally. And on balance, this is a much, much better way to go about things. And interestingly, over time, what tends to happen if you can successfully encourage emotional fitness in the same way that you might encourage if it was an athlete trying to get fitter through exercise, the idea is that athlete gets better at being able to handle the physical discomforts, and that's what we want with players. It's developing fitness in handling the difficult emotions and thoughts that come along. And what happens over time is players actually will end up in the long term feeling better more often anyway. There's a few reasons for this, but a couple of them are that if they get better at handling difficult feelings and still be able to take helpful actions while they've got the difficult feelings, they'll then get better outcomes over time, which then will circle back and they'll develop confidence. They will naturally develop better feelings through the outcomes they're achieving. So that's one really important thing to think about. And the other one is just that because they can, as I mentioned before, because they can better handle the emotions, over time they don't get so worried about not feeling great or not thinking ideally. They're better able to actually have those feelings, which stops that spiraling of difficult feelings about difficult feelings, difficult thoughts about difficult thoughts. So over time they'll actually just have a normal level of emotional and cognitive difficulties throughout matches, which rather than building on them and letting them spiral, which is what can often occur when we encourage emotional control. So yeah, they're two really great reasons for developing emotional fitness. So hopefully I've been able to communicate to you guys why the idea of encouraging emotional fitness rather than emotional control is a great one. It for sure is a better way to go about helping players. So yeah, so hopefully you take this on board, have a think about the things I talked about, and can implement some of these things with your player, encourage your child with these ideas, or if you're a player, to put them into practice in your own matches. So I'm Anthony Ross. Thanks a lot for coming and listening this week, and wherever you're watching this, feel free to register to follow. I'll give these tips weekly. I've got plenty of free resources and so forth at mentallytoughtennis.com. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.